There's no denying that the Star Wars universe is gargantuan and extremely diverse. Although there are millions upon millions of planets and systems left to be explored, the tiny portion of the galaxy that we've come to know and love still has a multifarious amount of species and races that manage to populate the expansive universe. Having said that, this video will mark a series first when we pit two completely different species against each other in a hypothetical battle, and analyze their prospects of winning based on factors such as natural advantages, weaponry, technology, and overall aptitude for combat. To kick things off, I know in a real situation, a battle between two races would hardly be fair as there are simply too many external influences to factor in. In an attempt to make this series equitable, however, we'll be analysing the fight based on the assumption that it was fought in the relatively neutral clone training arena instead of a planet that may hold advantages for some races and disadvantages for others. We'll also be adding a straw poll link in the description below where you can place your bet on who you think's gonna win our hypothetical battle. Anyways, onto the video. So first off, we're going to highlight some key similarities that both species unintentionally shared. Ewoks and Tuskens were both very primitive, and after a certain point, both races simply stopped innovating, and thus any potential advances in technology or society were halted. As a result, both species ended up possessing very basic weaponry, with Ewoks sticking with their spears and stones and the Tuskens preferring a weapon called the Gadafi. With that said, however, some would argue that Tuskens did have a firepower advantage, as on occasions, they were known to use their semi-automatic cycler rifles. As with any two species, however, there are always distinct differences, and the Tuskens and Ewoks are no exception to this rule. To highlight the most prevalent, I'm gonna start with the Ewoks. The Ewoks, as a result of their hunting society, had an amazing sense of smell and thus were incredible at tracking virtually any organism. In addition to this, as many of us would know from watching the Battle of Endor unfold, Ewoks were extremely resourceful and were masters at setting up deadly traps for their prey. Ewoks were also an extremely curious species. Combine this with a unique sense of smell, they would often send out search groups if they picked up a foreign scent. In vast contrast to this, Tuskens were one of, if not the most hostile species when it came to foreigners in their territory. They would more often than not enslave foreign settlers and sometimes outright kill them, earning them a vicious reputation throughout the galaxy. When it comes to practicability in battle, however, Tuskens can often falter. When compared to Ewoks, Tuskens had virtually no teamwork skills and liked to hunt alone or with very few others, unless of course they are united under the common cause of raiding foreigners on their planet. This independence is due to their clan society where the average clan possesses 20 to 30 members, and of those members only 5 to 10 being adult males. To further add to this deficit, Tuskens naturally lacked resourcefulness as they primarily evolved to merely survive the hardships of an extremely arid and desolate climate. Due to their size and dominion over the planet, Tuskens never had to adapt to changing conditions as there were virtually no predatory threats and evolution was stunted for the majority of organisms on the planet. If they were ever in dire need of resources, however, they would, as the Tusken Raider name suggests, raid and steal from outposts and markets. With that said, however, if I were to take an educated guess on who would win a battle if 100 members from each species were transported to a clone training center, I would have to put my money on the Ewoks. My reasoning behind this decision is that Ewoks simply thrive us in a group environment and Tuskens don't. If it were different circumstances such as a 1 vs 1 or even a 10 vs 10, it would be a different story. However, in an all-out battle, the Ewoks using their resourcefulness would manage to claim a victory over the Tuskens, albeit with heavy losses due to the aggression and heavy resistance the individual Tuskens would offer. Keep in mind guys, this is only my educated opinion on the matter, and although I do try and be as objective as humanly possible in these videos, there are some areas where facts aren't clear enough and I must ultimately make a decision. Anyways guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave me your suggestions and or tips in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.